NSFW, what is the most messed up thing someone admitted to you while drunk? That he, my best friend, regularly slept with my girlfriend, his stepsister, from the time they were teenagers, for several years, and it didn't stop, even after she and I got together. Good friend looked me right in the eyes and said, no one in my family actually likes me. I never knew what it was like to be cared about before I met you guys. Not that crazy or anything, but has always stuck with me, made me appreciate what I have. So I have a friend who, whenever he gets drunk, tells a story that he swears he has never told anyone else. Apparently, when he was 19, he was dating this girl, and he stayed over her place, but due to her dad's rules, he was not allowed to sleep in her bed, but instead had to sleep on a mattress on the floor. In the middle of the night, he awoke to someone giving him a blowjob. He just let it continue. When he was done, the giver came up to reveal it was his girlfriend's 16-year-old brother. Now, as I mentioned, he says he has never told anybody this, but mutual friends tend to talk, and without giving the whole story away, we have discovered he has told about 20 people about this, but forgets who he has told. I had an ex-girlfriend, 8 years ago in college, tell me she and her brother used to play a game when they were 5 and 6 meters. They would sneak downstairs before their parents got up to have the prince, his penis, and the princess, her vagina, kiss. Yes, it is what you think it is. She went on to tell me, when they heard their parents get up they rushed to put their clothes on. I didn't know what to say other than, yay. So don't tell other people that story. Not really fucked up what he told, but more the way he told. A close friend was with me, and a female friend at a bar that was on a street known for prostitution. There were many sex workers standing all along the street. Across the street, where the bar is, was a trans woman with a bulge on her panties. She was wearing a bikini. This friend kept making jokes about shemales and offensive comments all the time. At first we laughed a bit, but it got annoying after the first 15 minutes. After 2 hours of drinking and random comments about shemales, I had it and said, okay dude, we get it. You don't like shemales. This is getting really annoying now. The girl with us completed the comment. It's like you're overcompensating because you are actually into them. He was torn with that and started crying and telling us that he was getting crazy because he was so into it and he felt it was wrong, how disgusting it was, and he couldn't live with himself. He was miserable. It wasn't a shock that my friend, who was the biggest womanizer I know, was into women with penises. But the way he completely unreeled years of repressed feelings in a bar. We tried supporting him and telling him it's perfectly okay. Nothing wrong with that. But he had a really loud voice. Imagine him drunk. The whole bar was quiet listening to him. And that's when it got worse. He started detailing how he found out and how he wasn't even able to get an erection with a woman anymore without thinking about shemale porn. He really went into details while we just tried to make him shut up and stop crying in the middle of the bar. TL. Dr. Friend told everyone in a radius of 100 yards that he couldn't get aroused except with shemale porn. The band I played in was trying out a new singer. One day we went over to his place to hang out. Early afternoon. Dude was already drunk and a little incoherent. Starts ranting about something and ends with, it wouldn't have happened if the right people had won World War II. And, just to set the tone, this 32-year-old man's house was filled with stuffed penguins. Everywhere you looked, a fucking stuffed penguin. On the shelves, on the couch, the tables, everywhere. Nazi penguins. We were playing Never Have I Ever, and this one drunk girl said, never have I ever caught my boyfriend looking on Craigslist for other men to have sex with, then put her own finger down. We all just sort of quietly looked around. One of my oldest friends got completely trashed at my place and admitted he liked wearing women's clothing and asked if he could try on a few of my dresses. I obliged and we had a lot of fun, but the next morning, when he woke up in a lacy purple dress and couldn't find the clothes he had worn to my place, he was pretty embarrassed. He now does drag shows sometimes in another state, and I've heard they're really good. Not drunk, but when I got really high this one time, I put my head on my cousin's lap and told her she was a beautiful being with really soft thighs. Nurse I boned told me how the favorite part of her job was letting people die. She went on about how she's an IQ nurse and just, I don't know, lets people die. sounded more sinister when she was bragging about it. Hey man, you know when sometimes you're in the shower and you have to take a shit, so you just squat down, take a dump, and then push it through the drain cover with your toes? No? Oh. Well okay then never mind. While I was at a birthday party for one of my best friends, his best friend and girlfriend both drunkenly admitted to me, separately, that they were sleeping together and felt horribly guilty about it. If it was one of them, I'm not sure what I would have done. Since it was both of them, I took the hard route and told him about it. It was either true or a total prank. It was awful, but it was the right choice. It was true. The one that took me off guard the most was this girl I sat talking to for a couple hours. Then suddenly she says she's been stressing so much lately that she lost all her hair. She then went on to pull off her wig, displaying a completely bald head. This girl was 18. How the hell can you be so stressed by 18 that you lose all your hair? Last year, my friend's 21st birthday coincided with Pride, so she wanted to get drunk and go watch the parade. We bought a bottle of Malibu each. It was her favorite, and attempted to each drink the whole thing. 3 hours and an ungodly amount of Malibu later, we clearly can't finish a whole bottle each despite our best efforts, so we offer some to the two guys sitting next to us. We each start talking to one of them, and my friend and #1 clearly start hitting it off. Guy #2 and I start making small talk. Where you from? Arizona. Did you come just for the parade? And from here he immediately launches into the saga of how he cut off his left testicle with a razor blade. No anesthesia, no preparations, just decided to go for it in the bathroom. And this was the third thing he ever said to me in his life. I'm a girl, but goddamn that sounds painful. Was drinking with one of my female roommates at the time, and she told me that her grandmother had grabbed a hold of her, looked her in the eye, and said that she wanted to die and that she, her granddaughter, should kill her. My uncle will get drunk and ramble about how when my grandma dies, he's gonna be set for life and won't have to work again, that he's going to kick me and my mom, primary caretakers for my GMA, out of her house. It's only a matter of time before I catch your aunt on camera. My mother once told me, you know, you're going to be great when you get older. Your sister used to be the best daughter in the world, and as she got older she became the opposite. So you're going to be a great son. It's a close one. I had a friend get drunk and start crying. He told me he had gotten his ex pregnant and she insisted on an abortion. He couldn't stay with her after that, and he hated himself for everything that happened in that relationship. Super, he's one of my happiest friends. One of my other friends got drunk and high soon after I told him I was engaged. He started crying and told me he had a crush on me and was in love with my fiance. Then he tried to fight me because of it. I once drunkenly admitted to hooking up with an individual named Stevie. I'm a heterosexual male. Stevie is actually a girl, but I forgot to explain that bit. They made fun of me for a long time for that one. More on point, my ex-girlfriend once drunkenly explained to me how she and my other ex-girlfriend had more sex with each other than either did with me. That was an emotional roller coaster. A friend of mine admitted that he regularly smells his sister's used bras and knickers before she washes them. To be fair, she is fucking cracking looking. Definitely a 10. My brother's wife admitted she had cheated on my brother. She also said he had cheated on her. A few months later, they were divorced. A guy who had always been really pretentious and stuck up admitted that he acts like a dick because he's so afraid of people disliking him. He tries to at least make them dislike him on his terms. His logic was, if he acts like a dick intentionally, then stops being dickish, people would think he'd suddenly become a great guy. Sad part was when he broke down sobbing and said he'd forgotten how to act normal anymore. Being a prick was just a knee-jerk reaction at this point. He felt like a good guy trapped in a douche cake's body. Next day he was back to normal, no memory of the night before, walking around correcting people and humble bragging that he can't get hard anymore. He said it in the middle of a car ride home from a party in the middle of a completely off-topic conversation. We all looked at him in silence after he said it. He's 20 years old. I'm a man. I was raped by a gay coworker. I woke up periodically throughout the process, but I was too black to do anything. I vaguely remember his dick in my mouth. I eventually woke up while he was but fucking me, and I shoved him off of me and ran away. My asshole bled for days. It was pretty fucking horrible. Suicidal thoughts. Which is interestingly probably the most fucked up thing I've admitted to anyone else while drunk too. When we were high, my friend told me that her cousin, who I knew, had a secret half-brother who she and her siblings didn't know about. It was a whole thing where for a while their father had a secret second family. Everyone in my friend's family knew, but the three cousins had no idea. A couple years later, my friend had a destination wedding and me and her cousin were bridesmaids. We were all trashed in a pool and the cousin ended up telling me that she had recently found out she had a half sibling, and since I was about 7 rum and cokes and I simply responded, "Oh man, I knew that years ago." Not fucked up but fucking hilarious. This happened the first week of vet school. I walked outside with a new classmate and I said it smelled like anal sacs. These are scent glands that dogs have near their anuses and produce a distinctive smelling fluid. Her jaw dropped and she sadly said, "I don't know what that smells like. I always wanted to try it, but my boyfriend won't." Yeah, she thought I said anal sex. I was sober driver. She and I never spoke about it again. I wonder if she ever found out what that smelled like. My best friend came over to my house to celebrate his birthday and we were drinking a lot, and I noticed him getting more and more down. I thought it was weird because we were smoking blunts and doing goofy freestyling to random beats on YouTube, so I thought it was a good time. After a couple more beers he broke down, starting tearing up, and told me about how his mom left his family when he was a kid. Apparently she left to go shopping or something and just never came home, and he hadn't heard from her since. I'd never met his mom and he'd never mentioned her to me ever, and I'm not the type of person to be like, "Hey, where's your mom?" So that part didn't come as much of a surprise. The worst part was how he then went on to tell me how he resents his birthday because even if his mom doesn't give a shit about him, he still wonders if she ever thinks about him, and even if she doesn't think about him often, she'd definitely be thinking of him on his birthday at the very least. He spiraled down pretty quickly and said something along the lines of, "I know she has to be thinking of me today. Why doesn't she try to contact me? What did I do that was so wrong that she wouldn't want me anymore?" From then on, I made him know that he is wanted, and he's accompanied me on Mother's Day brunches with my family as well as Thanksgiving and Christmas. He's like a brother to me, and knowing that he thinks like that is heartbreaking as fuck, especially since he's such a good-hearted dude. I once got drunk with a coworker and he showed me his .50 pistol. He told me he was in some big debt with some dealers. Then he broke down in tears and told me about the time he was spiking heroin and overdosed his best friend and killed him. He passed out, and I ate some bagel bites he had in his freezer. Sitting around bullshitting with neighbor, and he tells me that 15 years prior, he and a buddy beat and robbed this man they saw walking down the street, and without meaning to, they killed him. They tossed him in their car and drove down some country roads and found a spot to throw him out. Woke up the next day to a backseat full of blood and had a vague memory of the whole thing, but couldn't remember where they dumped him. He said they lived in fear every day of getting caught, and after about a year his buddy left town never to be heard from again. He said he himself married, had kids, and lived his life, that every year that passed, he felt safer and more certain they'd gotten away with it. I wasn't sure either to believe him or not, but a couple of days later, in a rarely sober moment, he asked if I'd said anything about his story to anyone. I told him no. He very calmly told me that 3 people knew: himself, the buddy who vanished over a decade ago, and me, so if anything came of it, he'd know where it came from. Luckily he went to jail for a DUI, and I moved away.